Good evening, folks. We're back again. It's Tuesday, Creative Finance with JB. I have a very interesting story this week. We have a very profound guest that we're going to have, Ms. Starr from the Housing Alliance of Delaware, Policy Director. We're going to get to know some things about what's happening within her agency and stuff and what she gets to do. But it's so critical that we kind of have these topics of stuff that's happening, some of these groups and agencies around the state of Delaware, what they're doing, what they're trying to make better for us, how we're trying to make some changes, how we're reaching out to try to get stuff accomplished and find out the resources and stuff that we can do or what they do, because it's so important to know that when somebody's out here making a change, the purpose of the change, the reasoning for the change, and why it happened. They're formed for a reason. We probably look around and say, "Oh man, what is this about?" We get to figure that out. We get to understand and bring some good information to the folks out there. So y'all gonna hear some interesting stuff about the Housing Alliance of Delaware, some of the things that they do, some of the programs that they have fostered, some of the avenues they have went through in Delaware to get something, get these housing or something corrected, and what their ultimate goal is. So I'm not going to take up too much of the audience time here and just let them know. And Ms. Starr, we thank you so much for coming and everything. But if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the Housing Alliance of Delaware.
Sure. And thank you for having me tonight. It's an honor, so I appreciate it. I've been the policy director. This coming March will be 3 years. And it is a little bit of a sea change for me. It's not what my original career was. I spent 27 years as a congregational rabbi. Last 21 years in Maryland, next door. And at the end, I turned to my partner and said, I can't keep telling everybody else to follow their passion if I am not willing to follow my own. She knew that meant that I wanted to do full-time social justice work. And so I gave a 1.5 year notice. I left June 21, moved to Delaware for a lot of family reasons, and got lucky, got this position as policy director of Housing Alliance Delaware, and I've never looked back. So what do I do as policy director is I work with the community. I do community education like this program tonight about homelessness and housing instability. I work with legislators to inform them about what's going on the ground in Delaware, but also data-driven solutions and ways that they can be part of the solution. And then what I also get to do is work with advocates. And I'm always looking for more housing advocates, many, many more housing advocates, because the more people that say they care about housing and the lack of affordable and safe housing, the better chance we have to change the situation.
Wow, that's amazing for that stuff that we're doing here. So the Housing Alliance of Delaware, they're just an advocate for how do people come to y'all and just ask for resources, or how does it work?
So we have 4 departments at Housing Alliance Delaware. We're a small state-run agency. We have about 15, 16 employees, but we cover the whole state of Delaware. One of the departments is called centralized intake. Some of your listeners might know it from 1-833-FIND-BED. That's when there are people who are either homeless or at risk of being homeless. They'll call that number 1-833-FIND-BED, and they'll say, I need an emergency shelter. And then we'll look it up and say what shelters have opening beds. Unfortunately, we're not magicians. And so we can't make beds appear when there aren't any. And all too often, there's a shortage of beds. But it's important for people to get in that line, because if you don't get in the line, you'll never get services. So you have to at least make that phone call and get in line to get the resources. But we need more emergency beds. We need more supportive housing in the state to meet the need of people who are homeless. That's the closest we get to direct care. We have 3 other departments. Mine's is one of them. And then we have the Continuum of Care, which is COC, which provides HUD funding and professional development to local providers of emergency shelters. And then we also collect all the data that appears on HUB's website for Delaware. How many people are homeless? How many are men, women, Black, white, adults, children? We provide that data to them.
Wow, that's interesting to get. And you get with legislators, you said at the beginning, to kind of talk about that situation and how they can help and assist and go from there. I mean, how does that work out? I mean, do you set up meetings, or how would that work?
Right. So what I do is I will call up different legislators. We also have meetings. So for example, in December after the election, we're going to have a meeting in every single county where we're going to invite all the legislators and their legislative aides, and we're going to talk to them about the situation on the ground and how they could be supportive and of help. Sometimes they reach out to us, which is really a joy when they say, look, we've been hearing about this from my constituents. We want to be part of the solution. What do you think of this idea? And then we can say, well, have you thought about this or this? Or, that's a great idea. How can we help? It's really a conversation. It's one of the advantages of being from a small state, right?
Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
know everybody in Delaware, and I'm finding that out really fast.
Right.
But it makes it easier to have contact with the legislators. When you're from a place like New York or California, those people are far, far away. It's harder to get in touch with them.
Right, for it and stuff. And tell me, what's the goal of the Housing Alliance of Delaware? I mean, if they had to sit down and just say, hey, this is our mission, this is our goal, what would that be?
So every year we come up with different policy goals. And so we have this year's policy goal, but ultimately we exist to end homelessness. I mean, that is our goal, is to end homelessness in any way we can and to provide services. Now, ending homelessness doesn't mean nobody's going to be homeless again. It's
Right.
not a Disney movie, It just means that somebody, the moment they are about to be homeless or are homeless, somebody catches them and they get appropriate housing right away. And when you get appropriate housing, all the research says if you get off the streets right away when you first become homeless, you're less likely than ever to return. And so that's what our goal is to get a system in place that serves the needs from those who are chronically homeless to those who are right there at the beginning and get them the appropriate housing they deserve.
Wow. And tell me this, how do you was talking about finding beds for the folks. I mean, how does that work? Do they just call a number and, y'all try to locate?
So there's a computer system that different emergency shelters feed into, and they let us know today we have X number of beds, Y number of beds available. And then people call us that number I gave you, 1-833-FIND-BED. They call us and say, I need a bed. And we do our best. And people get angry sometimes because we can't make those beds appear. We have a shortage of beds, and that's just a reality. And until we put the finances and zoning in place to get permanent supportive housing, to get enough affordable housing for every family to have one, we're going to have a shortage of beds.
Wow. Do you know, and that's in all counties, I take it that y'all able to find that. And if you had to put your finger on one thing about that, I mean, what would be the leading cause of this homelessness now, or what do y'all see?
So it's a good question, and there's been a lot of studies nationally about it. And Pew study came out about 2 years ago with a study where they compared the cities that have done the best jobs and their municipalities that are bigger than the whole state of Delaware, right? We're talking about like Houston and Minneapolis. It's not a red-blue issue. They're red and blue cities. And what they found, the only thing that they could find was consistent was a lack of affordable housing. And the lack of affordable housing make rents and the cost of housing go up. And the higher up they go, then people can't afford it. And then they have no choice, right? It's almost like, imagine we were playing, we were kids once. I used to play musical chairs. You probably play musical chairs, right? The game is rigged. Right? There's not enough players. Somebody's got to lose, right? But someone lost the game. Who cared? But if you're thinking about playing musical chairs with not enough houses, we're almost 20,000 houses short for low-income folks.
Wow.
20,000 people don't need to do nothing wrong, and there's not enough houses. And even if they did something wrong, does that mean they get to be homeless? Like,
Mm,
okay, I messed up my credit. I never get a house again, right? Like,
mm.
the system is rigged against people who are low income, and we have to fix that.
Wow, wow. For that to find that, and that's a good scenario, like musical chairs, people just going and they find themselves homeless, and probably when you talk to these legislators, what are their views on that, you think, for how we can come up with something?
No one legislator is exactly the same, just like no
Mhm.
one person is exactly the
Right.
same. Some legislators have personal life experience. They understand the issue the hard way. Some legislators, it's farthest from everything they understood, and they're trying to get their mind of it. And other legislators have other priorities. It really just depends, And
Mm.
right now, we don't even know who the legislators are going to be.
Right.
Right.
Right,
So,
right, right, right.
after election, we can have a different kind of conversation, but I just hope people go out and vote on housing justice.
Yeah, yeah, vote on housing justice. Yeah, that's so important to do it. And have y'all seen this homelessness increase over the years, or has has it anything stabilized it, or found something to kind of hold it steady?
So in Delaware, right, the number had, so there were 2 years during the first 2 years of COVID. You might remember during COVID, people were trying to get people off the streets really fast, and the hotels and motels were all empty. So
Hmm.
the government rented out these empty hotel motel rooms and put people in housing. So the numbers were artificially low, right? Those first 2 years of COVID, because there was all this money to get people off the streets in empty hotels, motels. Now that our hotels and motels are doing well, right? We're not sheltering in place anymore. There's not that free flowing money anymore. People are back on the streets, and it's higher now than it was pre-COVID, which is just scary. And a fourth of, and this is the number that scares me the most, 25% of everybody who is homeless in the state of Delaware is under the age of 18.
Wow.
1 out of 4 had nothing to do with it. They're under 18. They didn't cause it, right? They
Mhm.
don't have the ability to get their way out of it, and they will have trauma for the rest of their life because of it. There's something wrong with that
Wow.
system.
Yeah. Is it not funding that maybe we can try to talk about, or that would help this?
Correct. We need more funding. One of the groups that I work with is the Delaware Affordable Housing Coalition. They say Delaware should put 1% of its budget, only 1%, for its number one crisis into the production of safe and affordable housing for the next 10 to 15 years, 10 to 12 years, and we can build our way out of it. But the truth is 1% won't even build everything. We need federal funding, and Delaware leaves federal funding on the table. We need to get better at getting federal funding into the state and using it to our benefit. We pay federal taxes. We have a right to use that money, in
Mhm.
this state. So funding is an issue, but also land use issues are an issue. Right now, there's such a stereotype in too many people's head of who is poor, who doesn't have access to housing, who are the people we don't want in our neighborhood, who's going to bring down our property, the value of our
Exactly. Yeah.
property.
Right.
And
Mhm.
even though stats show that none of that's true, absolutely none of it. The property does not go down, crime does not go up. People have that stereotype in their head, and they won't allow people to buy in. And there's zoning issues that need to be rectified as well.
Wow. When you talk about zoning issues, that they can't have so many renters, is that what we're talking
Right.
about here?
We are talking about Delaware State Housing Authority put out a needs assessment last December. And I'm not going to remember the number exactly, but
Mhm.
almost 90% of all new construction permits that are put out in the state are to
Mhm.
single unattached family houses. That
Wow.
means that only like 10%, maybe you'll get a duplex, or
Mm.
maybe you'll get a 3-bedroom apartment, or maybe if you're lucky in Wilmington, you'll get a high rise, maybe. But we have this propensity to only build single unattached houses, which are horrible for land preservation because they use all this land. We're running out of land, and they don't meet the economic needs of people who we need to work here. You know, my youngest is 21. We were talking before the show, and I said he was an apprentice in the trades, right? Well, he makes decent money for being 21 and apprentice. He makes $18 an hour. That is not bad money. But you try to find an apartment at $18 an hour in Wilmington that's safe and healthy. It's just not here. So he's living at home much.
Yeah.
He would rather be living with his buds, I'm sure, but
right. Because it's hard to afford something out here.
right.
Because I forget what they said the salary amount was to have, so people can live decent and affordable.
The housing rate in Delaware for a 2-bedroom apartment, you need to make at least $30 an hour to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. $30 an hour. And, you know, when you think about it, that means that I want all these minimum wage jobs, right? Never mind my son, he's making more than minimum wage, but all these minimum wage jobs, my childcare workers, my cashiers, my waiters, my waitresses, my janitors, right? My homemade helpers, nurse assistants, teachers assistants. We want to pay all these people as little money as possible, but then we don't provide housing that they can afford. Why would they work for us?
Right.
What's the incentive for them to work here?
And stuff for to have that go up and everything and get that going. It's just you know, some of our cities that, you know, we want those industries down at the beaches and you know, vacation places, you know, those type of wages aren't normally beneficial because the people have to travel a long ways to kind of find that housing and stuff. And now we have this homeless issue. I know in Newcastle they have that Hope Center, which is, you know, which is nice. I think that would be amazing if we kind of would do one or do a few in certain counties for those folks that can have some place to live. And, you know, it's winter times here right now.
Right. No, it would be amazing to have more than one Hope Center. First place, we need more than one in Newcastle, but one in every county. That'd be a good start. But that's land. That's money to buy it. That's money to convert it. That's money to have the staff to support it. That means you have to set it as a priority as a community. And we haven't done that.
So have y'all, have the housing allowance thought of a vision to house some of these people? And what does that vision look like?
So there's a couple of things that we talk about when it comes to people who are chronically homeless, who have been on the streets for a long time. One, you need supportive housing. And supportive housing means you get housing, but not by itself. You get housing with wraparounds. If you've been living on the street for a long time, you have physical needs that have been ignored. You have mental needs that have been ignored. You have financial needs that have been ignored. You're not ready to be independent. So you need wraparounds that come to you, that knock on the door and say, hey, we're having an NA meeting out here. We need, you know, come join us, see what it's like. Or, you know, I'm the nurse, I'm doing rounds. Can I come in and check that wound you have on your foot or your frostbite, right, from being outside? Or, you know, I'm a psychiatrist and I'm here. Have you gotten your meds? You know, do you need a new script? Like they come right to you so that you can start to heal from the trauma of being on the streets, never mind whatever trauma caused you to be on the streets. And then over time, as you heal, they'll bring a financial advisor. They'll bring somebody to help you with your resume. They'll get you in a Job Corps program. Many people end up in supportive housing, can go on after X amount of time, and each person is different, X amount of time, and live independent, healthy lives. There are some people, their trauma is so great, they're going to be in supportive housing for the rest of their lives. But that's better than being on the streets.
Right. And supportive housing is not bad. You know, it's a way to grow. I want to say to that next step of finding these different situations. And when we're talking about in a economy that's very expensive now,
Mhm.
that we have these type of issues, and it's going to get scary, for as we keep increasing and rents going up, and we're facing a lot of people say there's jobs out here, but some folks not able to find the employment to continue to live a decent basic life.
Right.
I'm
It's
bored.
scary. Mhm.
Yeah, and I tell folks, I'm like, hey, people working two jobs,
Mhm.
just to make ends meet, no time for family and nothing. But it's a tough industry, but it's got to be some type of resolve out here
Mhm.
for this issue as we see this housing grow, and our seniors and our veterans and all of that stuff starts to happen. So I guess your intake, they get so many calls each
They
day.
do. So I just looked up September's stats. We got 2,541 total calls, which represents some people called 2 or 3 times. Actually
Mhm.
got 1,227 households called us just in the month of September. We averaged, ended up helping 904 people, but we didn't have
Mhm.
enough beds to help all those other people, and that's just in 1 month, and we're a small state, it shouldn't be that
Wow,
low.
wow, that's a lot.
Mhm,
That's a lot for 1 month for it and
mhm.
stuff. And just tell us, as the policy director, what do you try to enforce that we have people's abiding by the landlord tenant, or what does that look like?
What do you mean by the landlord tenant? I'm not sure I understand your
um,
question.
um, that people are not being violated on their
Oh.
leases and stuff like that.
So we work with Classy, Community Legal Aid Society, where we refer people when they think that their legal rights have been violated, so that they can get the support they need. We don't have lawyers. We do work with legislators around different issues for to protect tenants. So, for example, we advocated for right to representation, which meant
Mm,
that anybody who might be facing eviction has a right to have somebody educated in eviction law to represent them, so that they get a fair trial. So we work on it, different laws like that. We worked on source of income protection last session, which just got passed,
mhm,
which means that if you're a landlord, you cannot take into account whether somebody. So what was happening before, if somebody had a housing choice voucher, which is guaranteed money from HUD, that
mhm,
says this person will get X amount, it changes per person, X amount of money every single month to put towards housing. Landlords were saying we won't take housing choice vouchers. It's now illegal. Well, it will be. It goes into effect 2026. It will be in 2026 illegal to now not take those vouchers. So we work on different kinds of protections like that for tenants. We don't think it's like one size fits all. We believe that it's a community effort, and we need all of our community. We work in coalition with a lot of different people. We need all of our community partners. We work on tenant rights, we work on development, we work on funding, and we work on supportive housing, because it all is needed. It's not one or the other.
wow. So do you see a lot of those violations happening with the landlords, or is that a big thing that goes around now?
So I don't have statistics on that. That's
Mhm.
anecdotal, but we definitely hear
Yeah.
about it. You know,
Wow.
Eh, we definitely hear, and you know, if if I am a person of means, if I have money and my landlord tries to cheat me, I just hire a good lawyer and we settle. But if I'm
Mhm.
poor and or working poor, right? I'm a working poor person. I make minimum wage or $15, $17 an hour. I don't make a lot of money. And my landlord threatens to do something. I can't afford a lawyer, right?
Right.
So then you get yourself caught. And there are good landlords and there are good tenants. There are problematic landlords and there are problematic tenants, but we try to level the playing field so everybody
Mhm.
gets a fair shot.
Wow. For it. So is it hard to find attorneys to do pro bono work? Because I heard you say you don't have attorneys.
Right. We don't do that kind of work. That you should have somebody from Classy come on and ask them those questions because they would know that better than I do.
Okay. So Classy is the advocate for
They're actually a legal aid society. They hire lawyers. They have lawyers and they help
oh,
people with cases who don't have the financial means. But I don't know I don't know how it works.
how
You
it
would need
works.
to ask
Yeah.
somebody from them.
Are they local or
They're Delaware.
oh, nice, 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 nice. That's good to know that they do have a avenue that they can go to when that happens for that. So you probably get a lot of those policy directions. And you talked about working with the legislators. I remember we had I came to one of your events one time. It was awesome. We went up to Capitol Hill over there in Dover on the green, and we was talking. And I mean, it made a lot of sense to sit down and let them hear some of the concerns that we are faced with out
Right.
here.
So we have a lot of ways that people can get involved. And if your listeners are interested, my email is my name, Sonya Starr at housingalliancede.org. Email me and let me know. But we're always looking for housing advocates who will talk to their legislators. They might listen to me a little bit because it's a small state and, I have a platform. Well, thank you for putting that in there.
Yeah.
But they're going to listen to you as their constituent because you say, I vote, right? And I need you want my vote. Well, then I need you to do something about this. So we're looking for housing advocates across the state. You're absolutely right. We go every May to Dover. We ping people from across the state. They meet with their legislators and they advocate for issues that are, being voted on in that moment. And that's really an important way that we get people involved. And sometimes it's like that is a big community event and it's visible and everybody sees it. But sometimes, a legislator will say to me, well, I haven't talked to any constituents in my district. And so I'll go on my list and I'll say, oh, these 5 people are in your district. Let me put you in touch with each other so you all could talk. Nobody needs seeing it, but it still has impact. It still influences the legislator. And it's important work that housing advocates do. Can't do it alone.
Right. And I know Delaware State Housing had a program to help people with rent assistance and stuff. And, money don't last forever, and stuff. And I guess that happened and the money dwindled away and stuff. And we seem like we still have some of the same issues for that. And do you think that maybe it's a better way to utilize federal funds if that comes in?
So there's no question when the ARPA funding came in and we were able to do emergency rental to prevent evictions, it worked. And there's some cities that have just passed. Denver is one of them that just passed that they give people below a certain income level. I don't remember what the below is, X amount of money every single month. And they get a check. Right. And they did it as a pilot to see what would people spend their money on. Because, they're going to be using it on drugs. They're going to be using it on alcohol. There's smokes. Like people have all kinds of stereotypes in their head. They found that the far majority of the people used it on housing, medicine, school supplies for their kids, like necessities of life. Without it was a successful program. So, you can only make minimum wage stretch so far and it's going to run out. And so we need to figure out a way to get more finances in.
It said being the president of the United States is from Delaware. Does he have any impact to make things positive for it?
The president, whoever the president will be, whether they're from Delaware or not, will impact things. Right now, obviously, for the last 4 years, this president had Delaware's ear. Right. That's not going to be the case next time, no matter who wins. It's not going to be somebody from Delaware. But the president has the ability to charge their departments and say, you need to make this happen. You
Mm-hmm.
need to care about people who are homeless. You need to care about eviction rates. You need to care about the lack of affordable housing. You need to get money into the states. They build a budget. They get to work with Congress. They're not king or queen of the year, but they get to work with Congress to shape what comes down to the local states. And yes, it does make a difference.
Yeah, for it and stuff to get somebody in office that does that. And that's important. I just seen one of my home buyers, Siobhan, on there, and she has an interesting project, where she wants to help people as well, in the group home industry, to help folks, in that industry, which is nice. We love to see people that's out there that want to expand the community, help and do some things to get folks in homes or have some decent living area. For it. I want to shout out to her because I mean, she's willing to make it available for people to rent rooms. To share.
We need all kinds of housing, right?
Hmm.
It's not one size fits all. Some people, they really want only a room.
Right.
They want to go to a community kitchen where everybody can hang. They want to have a built-in, cohort of people that they can live with, right?
Hmm.
Other people, that's not what they want. There is a need for all of it within Delaware and the full spectrum of housing.
Yeah, for not. And when people look at housing, they just, I think they don't have the vision sometimes of what we really can do out here. I know Sussex County have those tiny homes,
Hmm.
which is, I mean, that's amazing.
Right. The
You,
pallet
know,
shelters. Right,
yes, yes,
right.
yeah.
The pallet shelters, they are good temporary housing. The disadvantage, they're not exactly tiny homes if you watch TV because
Hmm.
they don't have internal bathroom and showers. You literally
Oh,
have to go outside. It's more like cabin camping.
yes.
You have to go outside to get to the public bathroom. That's okay for temporary shelter. It's not great, but it's okay. It's
Hmm.
better than living in the tent outside.
Hmm.
And you get to lock the door so you don't have to worry being robbed or raped or anything like that. That's a really good thing they're doing there. But that's not a permanent solution. Like people shouldn't have to
Hmm.
go out in the snow, the ice, and the rain to go to the bathroom or use a shower.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's a good gap fast for what we need. And we need more of that across the state. But we also need housing where everything is internal to the house.
Right. So I didn't know that. That's interesting to know. Tiny homes, they didn't have that internal,
Well, the pallet shelters
the
don't.
pallet shelters.
Tiny homes are tiny homes can be expensive. Tiny homes can be really fancy if you just you go on TV, those home TV shows, and you look
Yes.
up tiny homes. Them small little homes with everything packed into them so tight, they're not so cheap.
Right.
So you gotta be careful. The pallet shelters are not tiny homes.
Oh, okay. They're a little bit different there, and
Right.
for it, and well, let's enclose there. Who runs the pallet shelters? Is it individual people that have it, or is it a group?
It's a nonprofit organization.
Oh, okay. And that's good to know that we can do that. And
Mhm.
and if I had to ask, for some of our listeners out here, if Housing Alliance of Delaware said, "Hey, people say, how can we help?" I mean, what would you be an answer for that?
I thought you would never ask. So I mentioned being a housing advocate. We need housing advocates across the state. I can't emphasize that enough. But we actually have an educational program coming up. It's the week before Thanksgiving, November 22nd to the 27th. It's called Faith and Housing Justice Week. We take faith communities from across the state of Delaware and ask them to do something about housing instability. They might do a sermon, they might do a intergenerational program, and then we advertise it on our website, and they're open to the community. We are asking, in Delaware, you know what Code Purple is, right? In
No,
Delaware,
explain.
Code Purple is many of the places of worship open up their doors for the winter to allow people to come in and sleep for the night. And
Oh,
it's mostly worship communities across the state. They only get a bed for the night. It's a lot of people in one room. It's not a perfect solution, but at least gets them out of the elements, right? Code Purple is not completely, but largely run by the religious community throughout the state of Delaware. But those people don't always do the advocacy piece. And so Faith and Housing Justice Week, the week before Thanksgiving, that's our attempt to educate to give voice to what the religious community already knows from opening their doors and helping people who are homeless, and say, now we need your help as an advocate. And so we're going to be putting it up on our website in the first week of November. Go and check out the different things that are happening around the state at our website, or email me and I'll give you the link, whichever people like to do. And that is a really important community education program. There's a lot of stuff happening. It'll be really, really informative for people to get involved. There's another program my department doesn't run, but one of the other departments in my agency runs, and it's called the Point in Time Count. And remember when I was talking about all that data on HUD's website? We go out one night in January, last 2 weeks of January, one night, and we count everybody who is homeless on the streets, in a shelter, does not have somewhere to sleep. And then we send that point in time. Sorry, that's my fault. Point in, I-N. Sorry about that. Put all that we get all that data. That's how we found out a fourth of the people who are homeless are kids, all that kind of stuff. The reason that matters, thank you. The reason it matters is that we get funding often. There you go. We get funding often based on how many people are homeless, how many kids are homeless, how many people are Black, how many people are brown, how many people are white, male, female, like domestic violence victims, veterans. All that data helps get us funding from the federal government and legitimize the work that we're doing. So we want to get as much of an accurate account as we can. And so we take volunteers from across the state. It's a massive job. We take people go out and they count in groups. Nobody goes alone, right? And we record things and we send it in, and that's how we get funding to better support, better resources for people. So if you want more information about point in time count, I'm happy, if you email me, I'm happy to get it to you. But that's a really important way that people can help. And to be perfectly honest, people don't like talking about money, but just like any nonprofit agency across the state, the more funding we have as an agency, the more people we can hire, the more people that we can support and good work we can do. So any help that we can get financially, we're always extremely grateful for.
Can people donate to the Housing Alliance of Delaware? How does that work?
If you go to our front page of our website, it tells you how to donate. Or you can email me and I'll send you the link. But yes, you can donate to us. And actually for the point in time count, when we go out, we bring gifts. Gifts is the wrong word. I apologize. We give the people who are homeless something for their time. And so we take donations. And people send in donations to that, and then we sort it and everything and bring it back out to the community.
Wow,
That's another way people can give.
Yeah, this Faith and Housing Justice Week, I mean, that seems so important. They do that in all counties, or is that?
Yep. I am really excited. We are going to have something in all counties. We're going to have at least 2 programs in every county, and some are going to have more. We have a wide variety of stuff. We have some sermons. We have some panel discussions. We have the two of the 3 habitats are doing faith builds during the week, which is where for those of us who are hands-on, you get to go and actually help them build affordable home for people. They train you, they give you the paintbrush, the hammer, the nails, and they help you do it. We're going to have some artists doing some poetry reading, some music. It's a wide range of stuff. And all of it is about how to get to the point where we, one of the things I find when I do a lot of community education is that people sometimes go like this. I don't see it. I don't want to see it. I don't know about it. Right. They cover their eyes and they just pretend it's not there. And we go into the community and we say, it's here. You can't hide from it. You can't run away from it. We need you to be part of the solution, because if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem.
That's right. That's right. Community is so big to help our community and these folks that's out here. Because, like you said, this can happen to anyone. Anyone, any day, anytime. For it, and what's the best way to support? Is to make sure that we bring somebody that's out there back in, and keep it going strong. And it's great to know that we have the Housing Alliance of Delaware that really standing out there, that have these programs set forth, that's looking for ways to prevent this stuff, because it's if we didn't have this in place, I mean, it can get real bad quick. For it.
Right.
And people don't see it, especially with economy and stuff like that. And we were talking before the show about mental illness sometime happen during the homeless cycle.
Right.
For where you lose all energy of being positive. You have nothing really to look forward to. So, what do I really want to do? I'm going to go and get a fix or something, to calm the situation, to make it look decent. Do we publish this stuff to the churches, or are they aware of the advocacy that y'all are doing?
The clergy that are on my email list get emails from me. And I'm always looking for more clergy who are willing to talk to me and interested in networking with me. So I send out different emails. I go and meet at different interfaith councils at different times of the year to meet new clergy and stuff like that. But there's not one interfaith council for the whole state of Delaware that meets with every single clergy person. Or if there is, I haven't found it. So, I meet with people as I can, and I'm happy to continue meeting with people.
Right. Tell us about this. I remember growing up, soup kitchens, and when we had homeless people to go out there, make sure they at least getting a meal or something. Do we have those around Delaware that people
we have day centers that have refrigerators and microwaves and provide lunch for people. We definitely have some of the churches provide dinners in some of the locations. Often the Code Purples that I was telling you about that happen in the winter, they serve dinner and provide a night, so that they do both. And also remember, those 1/4 of those people who are under the age of 18 who are in school, they get meals at school if they're identified, only if they're identified. But, I don't know how people make these choices. Like, I don't know. How do you, I can't even imagine, how do you make the choice of, am I going to eat? Or more importantly, am I going to give my kids food today? Or am I going to scrape together enough money to pay my back rent or my forward rent? Or how am I going to pay? How many people are choosing not to buy medicine because their copays are so high, and they'd rather not, they go without medicine that they need. I'm not talking about, illegal medicine. I'm talking about legal medicine. They need to be healthy in order to pay rent. I mean, they're not healthy choices that people are making. And these people have homes, right? But they're not doing well. I mean, they're struggling. That needs assessment that I told you about, that Delaware State Housing Authority did last December, they said 9% of all Delawareans are precariously housed. 9%. That's almost 1 out of 10. That means those are people who, they're either homeless or they have housing, but they can't afford anything else. Or they have, 20, 30 people living in a 2-3 bedroom apartment because they're all doubled up and tripled up. You mentioned the hospitality industry, the tourist industry down south. One of the invisible industries down south is the poultry industry. There are 10,000 people who work in the poultry industry in Sussex alone. That doesn't even count the people who work in the poultry industry in Kent, right? 10,000 people. That's not a minor amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
They often rent beds, not rent beds like I lock the door and that's my bed. They
Mm-hmm.
rent a bed like, because the poultry industry is a 24-hour industry, so they work
Mm-hmm.
all three shifts. That
Mm-hmm.
means somebody else sleeps in the same bed I slept in for my morning. Somebody else sleeps in it at night, and somebody else sleeps in it during the day. Right? Three people share my one bed because they can't afford anything else. How
Wow.
how what kind of choices do people have to create a healthy life for themselves if that's what we're paying them to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so important. And I want to tell our listening audience, we have to make it a priority out here to make sure that we donate and give back to our community for what we have. I'm ever so grateful to, help with this. And my whole mission was to make sure that people know that we do have a situation out here. As blind as we don't want to see it, and somebody say, "Ain't nobody sleeping on in around my neighborhood like that." It's people out here that at some point in time, it will expand. It don't stay in one area. It will start to grow as this gets worse. So I just encourage anyone out here, during these winter months, let's support these homeless to give them a decent form of living, so they won't be out in the cold, and they'll have some place to stay warm and won't get sick and ill. That is somebody's family member out there that probably don't might not have family local for it. And we're thankful for the Housing Alliance of Delaware that they're doing it out here in this community and really making an effort to make sure that we have folks that have some stability in their lives. Like Ms. Starr said, not everybody's gonna not be homeless, but we can try to make the numbers decrease instead of increase through rents and stuff like that. And we understand that people have the right to charge what they have for rents and stuff. But I just want to put a shout out that if you have somebody that's renting and they've been doing good for some years, let's keep it the same for a little while until it gets better, and encourage them, that there's some other avenues out here and there's some other stuff that we can do to help the community for it to get them to the next step.
Can I make another suggestion based on
Yeah.
what you just said? Similar. If
Yeah.
you're a landlord, think about taking somebody who's low income. Think about
Hmm.
taking a housing choice voucher. You get the same amount of money, but some of it comes from the government, right?
Hmm.
Think
Hmm.
about how you can be part of you have an apartment. You choose how the income comes to you. Doesn't always have to be the person that can afford the most. Maybe it's that person that needed that second chance and you're going to give it to them.
Yeah, for it and stuff, and get it going for our veterans out there. Reach
Mhm.
out as well. That need some assistance. You served our country. We're so thankful. We're honored for that opportunity. But it's a chance to give back as well for it in this whole industry of homelessness and where we're going to. As Ms. Starr said, we have elections coming up. Don't fail to get to those polls and vote. But on that same note, let's talk to our legislators that's in our communities. Let them know that we're faced with this and get their feedback on what they feel will be necessary to change the dynamics of our situation for us to continue to go on and not address this with them and allow them to be in office and stuff that you feel it don't affect you, it affects someone out there. So let's have that conversation. Let's make it known that, hey, we don't want this to happen all over, because homelessness can just spread abundantly. And when it's spread abundantly, let us know. If y'all have any clergy that's listening, contact Ms. Starr if you want some information on the program or something that y'all can help with in the church or do within that community, because it can help grow the church as well, because people look to the church as a safe haven, as a place that they can embroider themselves and find comfort and peace, so we just asking y'all to reach out, and this is happening. We have something going on that we want to help our homeless folks out there, and reach out to Miss Starr. You share email, so you can send her email. She's good at responding to that. I can vouch that and stuff. And we have some projects coming up with Faith Week. And I'm excited about it. I didn't know about it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get involved.
Good.
I'm going to make an announcement to just really stand forth and come forward to it and make it happen. Make a vested interest in helping our homeless population in Delaware. Like Ms. Starr said, we're a small state, but we can have resources that can benefit everybody. And we understand we have good people, bad people out here, but they're people that just still needs attention to address some of these difficult situations that we're facing, especially with the economy and stuff. I even know that down in Sussex, it's a little bit more expensive. Would you not agree, Ms. Starr?
Depends on the east or west, but yes, East Sussex is significantly more expensive. Yes.
Yeah, for it and stuff. So, those folks down there, Kent County, Newcastle County, we have the Hope Center. Hopefully somebody can see that we can get some funding to start building another Hope Center in Kent, and then, in Sussex to start that out for it and stuff, so we can go and get that done. And Ms. Starr, is there any other projects that y'all looking forward to that's coming up in 2025, or that y'all really want to start moving on?
I mean, really, we're going to start once the election is over and we know who's in office. We're going to start reaching out to our legislators, and we're going to start doing advocacy for the kind of issues that more funding, more land use issues, more supportive housing, the kinds of things I was talking about. And we're going to start rallying advocates. We start educating our advocates. We give them the talking points. We let them know the nuance of all the issues. We give them the tools they need so they can be really good advocates. So that's what we're looking forward to. And then, of course, the point in time count, which will be in January, the end of January. So those will keep us busy.
Yeah. Tell us about that point in time count. Is that how do y'all go to each county? How is that set up? And
it's all across the state, in every single county, every single jurisdiction where we know there are people who are homeless. There are some people that go the night shift. I don't. I'm old. I turn into a pumpkin at 9 p.m. I don't do the 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift, but I wake up early. So I do the 7 to noon shift. Right? 7 a.m. to noon shift. But some people go out overnight. Like I said, they never go alone. They go with a group of people. There's always somebody who's done it before in every group. They're very safe. And the people that go at night tend to go to encampments where we know people are sleeping out on the streets. I go to shelters. The people that go during the day, and we need help in both. But people who go during the day, we tend to go to day centers and shelters and things like that. We need both. It's just a way. Well, they give us 2 or 3 pages of questions. We ask people permission to talk to them. Most people are happy to talk to us. If they don't want to talk to us, they don't have to. And we move on to the next person, and we ask them some of that question. So we have that data for HUD and for our website and for our funding. And then we move on to the next person. The experience of it sounds like one thing in your head until you've done it. And then all of a sudden, these people who are experiencing homelessness, they're not them, those people. They're a human being sitting right in front of me. Right. They're a person I'm having a conversation with. And sure, I ask them questions and they answer them, but then they start talking about other things. And then I start asking, they'll ask me a question, and you start to realize how it's just what you said. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. We're all one step away from where we could be if we weren't
Mhm.
fortunate enough not to be.
Right, for it and stuff, and that's so important. I'm kind of interested in some of these programs that we have going up to help out here. The point in time count, which is very interesting to see how
You'll have to
these.
come out with us. You get
Yeah,
my
yeah.
email.
So yeah, to see how these folks we can help them and have a better lifestyle and everything to get that. But also tell us a little bit about historically with this Faith and Housing Justice Week. How does that usually go about?
Well, this is only the third year we've had it. It's a new program, and it's grown every year, so that's
Mhm.
exciting. Last year we 1300, sorry, 1,300 people across the state were involved.
Wow.
Hoping that we will be above that. I don't know how much above that, we'll see. But the goal is really to educate the faith community and to get the faith community to be advocates for change. You
Wow.
know, I as a person of faith, right?
Hmm.
I'm not Christian, I'm Jewish, but I'm a person of faith. I
Hmm.
attend synagogue, it's part of
Right.
my life. As a person of faith, I need to walk my talk.
Right.
Like, it's not enough to go in and just pray it. That's not what that's not my understanding of what God is asking of me. What
Hmm.
God is asking of me to do is to partner with God to create the world I want to see on earth. And
Mm.
that's my job. And so Faith and Housing Justice Week is a way for the faith community to say, this is real, folks. This is out there on the streets. We need to be part of the solution.
Wow, and that's amazing to go out there to help and let people have hope in this world here today and stuff. And it's so amazing. And Ms. Starr, I want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking this time to meet with us and have this and reaching out to the community. But if it's anything you can tell our listening audience that they can do. So they can just be revived and understand what our purpose is. Please do.
Email me. Email me and say you're willing to help. We'll have a conversation. We'll talk about what you can do, what you can't do, what works for you. Email me. I'll make it work for you so that you could be part of the solution. That's the best thing, because it's not one size fits all. We need all of us.
Yeah, we need everybody out here. We need all hands on deck. We need anybody that's willing to assist us with what we have, and it's a valuable cause. It's not time wasted. We waste a lot of. I know I waste a lot of times doing stuff that I can do other things with, and I want to change those dynamics as well for it. But helping our communities to grow and prevent this homelessness and talking to our representatives. Folks, November 5th is next Tuesday. Um,
Absolutely. Vote.
Go vote. If you have
Mhm.
to vote early, please do so. Do not waste the opportunity to voice your opinion about what we want to change within the next 4 years for it and what we expect from our political advocates out here and our political folks that's going to be in the office serving the community um, and the country. It doesn't make a difference of who it is, red or blue, or know, go out and make that honest decision to vote so we can change some things. We need some change. We need somebody to be in the leadership role that we can see that we are progressing and we won't degress within the next 4 years. It's okay to have a difference of opinion, but let's be mindful while we're out there, be respectful
Mhm.
of other people's opinions. Other people have their own opinions, their own facts and stuff, but we just want to make the honest and the honorable thing to do is to vote and stand by our candidates and hold them accountable and set the expectation. for them or what you expect from them if they're going to walk into this office and stuff. Folks, I want to thank y'all for attending Creative Finance with JB. Ms. Starr, we thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time to come out and talk with us. We'll be here next week. It's going to be voting week. That's going to be some of my topics next week. Who went out to vote? How was it? Were you able to make educated decisions during your time? I don't want to know who you voted for, none of that. That's besides the point. But that you went out there and you took a stance to make America better again. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. And thanks for watching. Good night.
Right.